Peace, peace. We back with another episode of the Overthinker podcast, episode 6. Man, we moving forward. I know we had missed a couple days, but we bouncing back and we on it. All right. So, as we always do, we're gonna start the episode with a moment of silence and also just show gratitude for the negative and the positive, and just for everything that's going on. We just want to be thankful, regardless of how we may feel of the fact. So, we're just gonna start off with a moment of silence. And then we'll get started with today's episode. Alrighty, so let's get to it. As we see, the title for today is Being, Belonging, and Becoming. I did a post on this a few months ago about being, belonging, and becoming, and showing the transformational process just between those three particular words and how they come together and how we are a part of that. And so the first thing we're going to start off is being, okay? And one thing that I do is, and everything is, I go to Google, right? I go to the internet. I go to what some people would concede they don't tell us the whole truth, nothing but the truth, the half truth, this, that, and the third. I go there regardless, right? Because it's a source and we got to use all information based on what it is, information. So being equals existence, or the meaning of being is existence. Okay. And also be, because we can't be a being without be, just be meaning exist. So if we are beings at the core, right? If y'all was here in my previous episodes, energy beings, God beings, human beings, uh um we are so many things, right? Or we call ourselves these different things, but at the core of it all, the common denominator is being, right? We exist, right? So we got to really understand that we are existing. We cannot have mind without the universe, meaning that in order for this universe to exist, this realm to exist, this world, this planet, whatever you want to call it, to exist, mind has to be there, right? And the reason why I'm going there is because we have to really truly understand we are the beings, right? We are the being that is part of all the beings, or the beings that's all part of the being. As above, so below, as above, as within, so without. So we are all interconnected just by existing, just by being. All right. Some of the similar words for being is life, blood, entity, and esse. All right. Now this esse is ESSE, meaning or coming, or the prefix for essential nature or essence. So that's confirming everything that we done talked about in our previous episodes when we talk about God being, spirit beings. Because let's go back to the similar words. Excuse me. Life, blood. If you a Christian and you go by Old Testament, New Testament, life is in the what? Blood. Existence. All right. They finding out new information about DNA. DNA is there to what? Store information. It's just not there, right? There's a code within the blood. There's a law. There are principles within ourselves. Not only ourselves, but other beings that exist on the same realm that we exist on. Talking about dogs, cats, birds, cows, things that we eat, things that we don't eat, plants. All of these are beings. We want to be so vegan, right? Some of us are vegan, and we so vegan to the point we eating all the plants and all the trees, fruits, and veggies, right? But those are still conscious what? Beings, right? They are still has some sort of intelligence. It might not be as us. We don't see trees walking around and talking and this, that, and the third, but there is what? Some signs of what? Intelligence there. Because anytime we eat or do anything like that, that's intercourse, right? We are transforming or consuming something that's going to enter us and add what? Value to us, and vice versa. Okay. So we got to remember, right? Looking at these similar words, they're going to piggyback off of what the meaning is. That's why understanding synonyms in different words, right? No matter the language. That's why once you get past, okay, this language evil, this language this, we supposed to say it like this, or this ain't our original tongue. It doesn't matter. We create it all because we are beings of what? Pure creativity, beings of energy, right? Meaning what? Existing energy, meaning energy exists. Existing gods, meaning what? Gods exist, right? Because what? We exist. We are the creators of it all, right? Another word that come piggybacking off of the God being is entity, right? Entity, right? That's another word that a lot of people replace for you could say uh, a source or a substance that is independent. And we're gonna tap on independence later. I want to get on independence a little bit too in today's episode. All right. And then we got essay, the essential nature and the essence. Okay. So this is who you are. All right. Just from this isn't us going into some Harvard lecture trying to get deep with something. This is not about getting deep, right? This is about getting to the point. Because at some point in time, right, we got to question the leaders. We got to question everybody that's been talking and that ain't been getting straight to the point. Oh, they talking about, putting a hospital, we need black owned hospital, we need this in the community, we need that in the community. Well, why you doing all this talking? Well, why you ain't doing it? We need owners of the leagues, and man, y'all ain't doing nothing of it though. So in order for those things to get done, it got to get back into the hands of the people. But the people got to know who they are first. Once the people know who they are, then we can start moving accordingly, right? So we are essence, right? We are essential nature. That's who we are. We are the beings, right? We are the essential nature that makes this thing go round, right? We talk about a simulation, right? You cannot have mind without universe, right? You cannot have computer without mind, right? We cannot have the metaverse, VR technology without the what? Mind, without the brain, right? From the mental plane to the physical plane, right? Everything is what? The same. It's nothing different. But at the core of it all is you, the essential nature, right? We create things based on our essence, based on our essential nature. That's how we create our identity, right? Going into identity, now we can go into belonging, right? As beings of, right, essential nature, right? Beings of existence. This is what beings mean, right? We start to build our identities based on what we have here in existence to observe. Once we start observation, we start to what? Repeat cycles. That's how we build societies, right? That's how we have our science, mathematics, reading. That's how we've been able to come from a telepathic communication to now what? Speaking with tongue. All right. So identity, right? So let's get into belonging, right? Because belonging gonna help build what? Our identity. A lot of us will sit back and be like, oh, I feel like I don't belong here. I feel like I don't belong there. I'm gonna tell you this, you belong somewhere. You belong here because you're here. All right. Just by existing, you're gonna belong. All right. And we're gonna tie all this stuff in. All right. Belonging or belong, right? To fit in a specified place or environment, right? We dealing with, right, the belonging of existence. What happened with existence? It was placed in what? An environment, right? It was placed in a specified, so hopefully I said that right. I know I get tongue tied sometimes, but a specific place. Let's take the heliocentric diagram, right? That they give us, that they go on Adobe and they go on all these different whatever apps they want to go and create what they want to create, right? Let's take the heliocentric model. How's the earth in a specific location in the right place for the right environment for life to exist? It belonged there because it what existed, because it was a being, right? We talk about the earth being alive, right? Being, existing, right? I see y'all got a question down there. Can you identify the word? Oh, I ain't even gonna get into that. Identify the word as a study of positive spiritual thinking. I don't even know that word, to be honest. I'll write it down, and what I'll do is talk about it on the next topic, on the next episode, to be honest. That way I got time to study it. So I'm not gonna go in there and just I'm not the type of person that's just gonna be talking off the whim, and I can barely pronounce the word. You feel what I'm saying? So I ain't even that type of person. All right, but what I will do is write the word down. 11:45 every night. I do my best to come on here, go live, and talk about something spiritual or something that we need to break down just as in the community. So I'll put this word down. I don't know how to pronounce it. Yeah, I ain't even gonna sit here and do that to myself. But what I will do is put it, start, and then I'll talk about it in the next episode for sure. All right. So belong. All right. Once we are the beings, right? Then we can start to belong, right? Now, when I say this, when we come into existence, we're already belonging, right? Because we belong to a mother, right? We're belonging to a mother. We're belonging to a father. We might have siblings that we belong to, grandparents we belong to. It's an environment that's already what there for us. It's already a specific place there for us to what start to thrive, right? So one of the things about belonging, though, what we got to touch into that we touched in a couple other episodes is that belonging, this is the similar words to belonging, is connection, fellowship, and acceptance. Yo, all right? So connection, fellowship, and what? Acceptance. We were sitting on acceptance yesterday because one of the things that we have to start to do in the community, right, is create safe places. But the only way we can create safe places is when we start to accept people for who they are on a non-judgment basis. See, the world with the distractions, entertainment, the world that we live in today is designed to bring judgment, is designed to bring distractions, right? Because even though we get closer and closer with technology, it becomes fewer and fewer safe places for regular people in the community to really go to and express what's really going on, right? It's always a conspiracy. It's always this. It's always that, right? So one of the things in part of belonging that we have to start to realize is that we have to start to accept. So as we belong, that's part of our nature. One of the things that people it's people like me and you that's trying to disrupt the world for whatever benefit that they seem fit, or build a world that they want to create, because at the end of the day, negative or positive, we all creative beings. It doesn't matter, right? So if it's negative or positive, we have to accept it, right? Because we all belong in the place that we in. We can't say that nobody belongs, and we can't say that this is going to happen, this is going to happen. What we know is going to happen is that they will die off, right? And new faces or people in the same bloodline may take their place. Whatever the case, who knows at the end of the day, unless you in that environment, right? So, and for the most part, we know that's why we have to start doing deliberate things in order to push back what's going on, right? So that's why belonging is so important, because we got to start accepting each other for who we are. Not because, okay, I can't mess with them because they too religious and I'm a spiritual person. No, that's not the case. This it's the same denominator, right? With a different numerator. Meaning it's you looking at 3/4 and you 1/4. Not understanding that it's 4 at the bottom. Right? You just see the 3 over there. So and you know you 1. You just see the 3. And so you can't accept what they have because they are 3. But at the bottom of the 3 is 4. And together, y'all make what? Y'all complete the set. Y'all never had to agree on anything. Y'all just had to accept one another, to come together, to belong with each other in order to make the what? 1. The 4 over 4. That's just infraction because we got to keep it universal laws, right? Because everything is built off laws and principles. Okay? So we got to have acceptance in this belonging. Once we start to belong, right? Once we start to belong, meaning we start to exist in an environment that we have either inserted ourselves by choice or we have been put there by whatever reasoning, meaning birth, right? Let's just say that. So once we get there, now we can become. All right. Now, one of the instances that I gave in my post was I always love to go back to trees. The reason why I like to go back to trees is because it's a bunch of them, first off, and then it's consistent. That tree always been here. You can't say a tree ain't never been here, or what we call trees. Okay, so the trees, right? You got a pine tree, oak tree, and a palm tree. Right? They all trees, meaning that they exist. They are beings. They are tree beings. Okay. Now they are belonging to a specific environment. The palm tree is in the tropical. The pine tree is in the north. Oak tree in the south. Whatever the case. However, or mid. Let's just say mid. Oak tree and mid. Okay. Each one of them, by belonging by belonging to a certain environment, put in a specific place, right? They became the type of tree that they are, that we title them to be, based on the environment, nothing else, right? They start to become. That's why when you hear these your success speakers, your success gurus, and these different things, they talk about putting yourself in the right environment, because the environment, right, is the basis of who you're going to be becoming. That's the midpoint, right? Because you're already a being, you're already existing. Now you have to insert yourself in the proper environment, right, in order to become what you're trying to become, to transform who you are. This happened what? Mentally and physically. It's a transforming, it's an evolving, right? It's an adaptation, however you want to put it, right? Into becoming who we want to be, the creative being that we see ourselves being, negative or positive. I always say that, negative or positive, because no matter what, every cause has an effect. Can you deal with the karma that might come your way? So you have to use the laws and principles accordingly, right? That's why I tell people all the time, right? The simple fact is, we are the ones that are creating the world that we live in, whether we are aware of it or not, right? Spiritual is negative and positive, just like the physical. So if we can comprehend and understand that, okay, if there's negative here and it's positive, we should expect what? Negative. But like I said in my previous episodes, it's all good. Why? Because positive outweighs the negative. Because in order for a negative to exist, there has to be a positive. The negatives come from the positive. It has to be positive first in order for it to be a negative. Okay? So that's why the positive always outweighs the negative. Not because it's an imbalanced thing. No, it's positive first. I move forward, then I can take a step back. Right? So, and that's in any direction, because and I say this, it's based off the compass. In any direction, it's a positive direction. There is no really a negative step until I take that positive step. Okay. So for you to even start to push forward to do whatever it is that you want to create, you are already stepping in what? Positive faith, positive works. That's why action is so important. That's why a positive mindset is so important. That's why a positive environment is so important, because we know the negative is going to be there. It's not saying that negative is not there. I'm not going to be so optimistic to the point I'm going to be blinded to the fact that, oh, I ain't feeling the best today, or I ain't going to be blinded to the fact that something on my body's hurting, or it wasn't the best day, or I ain't had all the sales in the world, or whatever it may be for you in that case, or for me in that case. But at the end of the day, that positive is always going to outweigh that negative, because we know right around the corner from the negative, it's a positive coming back. So it's always a reason to be what? Joyful. It's always a reason to be what? Accepted. It's always a reason to have what? Connection. Because we're starting to understand that, okay, the world that we live in is pretty basic. It's pretty simple. We're the ones that's putting what? Our relative truth on it to make it a little bit more complex, meaning we're putting man's reasoning on it. That's woman or man, mother or father. It doesn't matter. The divine beings on what we call ourselves divine beings, what all that means is existence. Things that are existing in the realm, in an environment that it can thrive in. So it can become what it wants to become in its pure creativity. Right? So sorry about that. That's my overthinking rant. All right. Overthinking rant part 1. That's the first one for tonight. We'll see how many we got. All right. So before we even go into becoming, let's take a side note, because one of the things that when I was doing my research, I came across the word independent, right? And that's one of the words that in our society now have taken root. And we got to remember that everything is spirit. Why is everything spirits? Okay, our spirit, whatever we want to call it, right? The reason why is because it's the breath. Okay, when we say the breath, we gonna get into that. Let me see. Did I write that down? I don't know if I wrote that down, but we'll see. And breath is how we talk while we walk in our walk. Okay, let's like how we talk while we walk in our walk. If the words are coming from how we talk, right, and how we think, let's not forget about that, right? So, because as you breathe, you're thinking. Okay, so in order that breath goes through the body, okay, and it's activating that. The breath is an activator, the spirit is an activator. Okay, it's a difference from what we are, right? The spirit activates us. Let me say this so y'all can really get this. Okay, the spirit, when we talk about a spirituality, okay, a spirituality is spirit mixed in with reality. Okay, so a spirit is igniting our reality. Okay, so now you see why I talk the way that I talk. So when I go out here and walk my walk, people understand why I talk the way that I talk. No matter what I do, work 9 to 5, start a job, start a business, freelance, don't work at all, homeless, it don't matter. Because at the end of the day, my spirituality mixed with my reality is going to be my what? Breath. Right? So, but that's with all the information that we receive. That's with everything, right? Everything is that spirit, because we have what? Other people, what? Creative beings on the realm and like us, right? They might not be same skin tone, same hair, all this other stuff. At the end of the day, they there. And we know they creative beings. How we know they creative beings? Because they're creating negatively or positively. It doesn't matter. Okay? So independence. Let's get back to it. Independence. All right. Now I got this independence from the word entity. All right. Entity, another word for entity is also substance. Okay, having independent existence. Okay, so that word independent, when I was doing my studying, I realized that's a relative truth right there. That's that relative truth that we was talking about. Excuse me if I was shaking the table. All right, that's that relative truth. Now, everything is interdependent. There is no true. There is no true independence, right? Because in the realm that we're on, in the planet of existence that we're on, everything is connected, meaning that we rely on the resources on from the earth, right? And the earth relies on how we what maintain it, right? To reproduce those resources. Okay, so everything in existence in our realm is dependent, okay, or interdependent, I should say. All right. The definitions for independent was free of outside control, not depending on another's authority. Okay, this is relative truth. This is not absolute truth. See, this is why I wanted to bring independent out, because this connect the previous episode that we was just talking about. If you missed that episode or any of the previous episodes, y'all can catch them on YouTube. All right, that link in my bio. So look, independence, free of outside control or not depending on another's authority. How do we know that this is a relative truth? Because that is from our creativity, meaning that an organization or a organization or a uh how can I say organization? What's another word for organization? A business or a straw man, things of this nature that can be independent and free on its own based on the laws and principles we have constructed off the laws and principles that was already here, right? So if we're already in a dependent or interdependent environment or universe, right? How does independence play a factor but in the world that we're involved in or we create for ourselves, the society? Yes, can you see how it's relative? I hope that's making sense. All right. So in the side notes, I was put nothing is truly independent. This is ideal. This ideal is due to man's reasoning, absolute truth / relative truth. Okay. We got to remember relative truth, because relative truth is based on man's reasoning. That's why you should have your own reasoning. That's why you should take what I'm saying here tonight with discernment and then go back and do your research on even what I'm saying if you can find it. It's out there though, whether in books, somebody else saying it, whatever the case, right? And mainly everything that I looked up tonight is on Google. So be honest with y'all. We don't have to go too deep into too many books. Yeah, I got some books behind me I might get into tonight, but we'll see. So again, independence or to be independent, right? This is an ideal that is due to man's reasoning, all right? Which falls under the line of relative truth, not absolute. All right. See, a lot of people, some people, I don't even hear it a lot, to be honest, talking about relative truth or absolute truth, because some people don't know, or they do know, they just put it in the package what you got to pay for. I don't know what they're doing. At the end of the day, based on my studying, it breaks down to we have two different truths. All right. All right. Enough of the overthinking. All right. I'm overthinking. Let me get back to this regular schedule programming. All right. So being, belonging, becoming. All right, so we left off with belonging. We went into the independence, rant, side notes, the whole overthinking side of things. Now we're getting back into becoming. Okay, so we are belonging, right, because we exist. Okay, now it's time to become. All right, becoming, the process of coming to be, right, or passing into to state. When we talk about state, what are we talking about? We talking about a state of mind, a mental state, right? That you then what put through a process to then what come to be. All right. Now it's a new what existence. Now we talking about the creativity part of things, right? Not just in the fact of what we're manifesting, but in the fact of what we're manifesting for ourselves to be, meaning what we want our body to look like, right? What we want our mind to hold, right? Our mental fortitude, our state, right? So going back to the trees, you have the oak tree, the palm tree, and the pine tree, north, mid, and south, right? At the end of the day, these trees were named based on the environment that they were in. So they became an oak tree because the oak tree dwelt and thrived in this environment. They became a palm tree because the palm tree, right, was thriving in this environment, right? It became a pine tree because the pine tree was in this environment. And it's really that simple. Now let's look at the birds and the whole Darwin theory about evolution. It ain't the fact that these things were evolving and over time they're going to be doing all of this and all of that. No, what are you talking about? Right? We talking about things becoming based on the environment. And at the evolution denominator of things, at the foundation of it, that's what it is. And if you put something in a different environment, it's either going to what? Adapt or it's going to die. And it's that simple. And when it dies, guess what? It becomes, right? It belongs what? Back to the earth, and it belongs to whatever it's going to belong to, and it's going to become whatever it becomes after that. The body itself. The energy keeps going. It recycles. However, it's going to be recycled. Right? So becoming is very important because once you start to identify what you want to become, we can start to move deliberate in how we want to move. We can start to have discernment in how we want to move based on the information that we are consuming, based on the information that we're getting in. Right? But first, you got to know who you are. Right? You got to already know, okay, existence. I'm living. Boom, I'm here. I'm the being. I'm the B. I'm the big B in the house. Right? Now I'm belonging to an environment, to people, to others around me, to my friends, my family, my coworkers, my tribe, my community, right? Whether you boss, whether you employee, it don't matter. It takes one another to do whatever it is that we want to set out and do. We can say we independent. They go that word again. Oh, I'm independent this, independent that. I'm getting it out the mud here. But how? When we need somebody in our corner, when we need somebody right here, right there, even if that person is coming to buy something from us, we selling something, we need that person to come buy for us so we can make a living based on what we're doing. And when we need some shoes or we need some clothes or we want something to eat, we gonna go what? We gonna go out there and what? Do what we need to with somebody else in order to make a transaction, in order to get what we want. We can't run away from it. Well, that's the thing, right? So that's part of the illusion, right? So that's one of the things why I'm here, right? We didn't come in this world alone, right? I just had a son. He wasn't by himself when he was coming in. I was talking to him. It was a vessel that was carrying him, a vessel, right? With a placenta, a tube, a feeding tube, a nutrition tube. It was fluid around you. You were in an environment. You were existing in an environment, belonging to this environment in order to become, but you was not by yourself. You was interdependent, so you can become and take the what? Breath of life. So when we say the word need, that's not even a word we need. If you think about it, because everything that we need is already here. It's just how we want to go get it is the question, right? How we want to go get it? Who you want to go get it with is the question. It's not about who the someone is. It's about who you want to be. Who do you want that someone to be? That's what I'm here for, right? So we agreeing, right? And I'm accepting you. So we are individuals, right? We are individual beings, right? Existence, right? We are beings of pure infinite creativity, excuse me, of pure potentiality, right? So when we start to see ourselves as this, now we can see ourselves as the individual that's creating, helping the world that we shape. So we have to rely on our what individual power, right? Our understanding, our instinct, right? Our intuition, right? So now we can what? Put that outwardly to create, right? Everything starts inwardly, right? In. That's the individual is important. We might talk on that word along with this other word that we were talking about the individual, the understanding, right? The individual, right? The energy, right? So the the interdependence, right? The interdependence, the interconnection of it all. It's important. That's why you as an individual is so important. Your value is not here. Your value is here. You know your power. I don't have to tell you your power. You know your power. So when you know your power as the individual, imagine when you get with somebody that's on that same level with that same power. Now we can start what? Implementing things into society that we want to see. Because it's no point. It's like what Uncle Ben say, right? What Uncle Ben say to Peter Parker, with great power comes great responsibility. And as the people, we hold great power. So with the great power as the people, see where I'm going? Now what we have to do, we have to be responsible with this power. That's why the Constitution says what it says. Not because, evil governments. Everybody knows it's going to be evil governments. But what the people going to do about it? That's the question. That's the question. That's what they ask themselves when they at the meeting. All right, man, y'all know we got to get this past the people. So who we going to hire today to do it? We got Drake, we got Cat Williams, we got Shannon Cake Club Shay Shay, we got TD, we got Young Thug over there. Shit, we can let Gunner free. He'll throw him off a little bit too. Nah, matter of fact, let's go and tap into the conspiracy community. Hit them with the fake Sun boys. Hit them with this. Kind of throw some more confusion in there, and we can sit back and keep doing the things how we've been doing it. Because they're looking out for who? Themselves as individuals, and then what? The people around them that's gonna help them get what they want. That's all these people doing. They gonna throw aliens in your face, reptilians, insectoids, all of this. And then we the people feed into it because hey, it's called programming. I was one of them. I was one of them. I was there. But in this journey, right, of this journey of fulfilling whatever it is that we're supposed to be fulfilling, this is what I've can't come to. And now it's to the point now it's just time to get the message out here, but not just get the message or the gospel, right? It's about application at the same time, because I can't teach something. I can't do what every other person have done, or we can't do. Let me say it like this. We can't do as the people, right? We can't do what everybody else has done. Be out here on camera talking that shit or whatever they want to talk. And then all of a sudden you be like, well, where your hospital at? Well, where your schools at? Well, where your foundations? And doing what the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and all these old behind names we want to blame that ain't even the name no more in the Illuminati, when the Illuminati ain't never exist to begin with, or existed for 3 months when you go do your research for real, for real. So I'm just here to make sense of it all, to be honest with you. I'm just here to make sense of it all, because one of the things that goes into distraction, right, with the world that we have built for ourselves, right? And we ain't do it on purpose. We did it because we want to live comfortably, right? We'll always have forms of entertainment. We'll always have things to distract us from us working and different, because it's part of our creativity. But what has happened is people has preyed on this and then took it to their advantage to to be greedy, to overconsume. It is what it is at the end of the day. But the only thing that we can do as people is combat and put things into society that we want to see in society, so we can create the safe places in the environment that we want to be in and want our children and want our grandparents and ourselves to thrive in. Because at the end of the day, this is, and that's what it's about. Because we can we can sit here and say, one of the biggest things that's going on right now with 2024 is just like last year or this previous year with 2023, or really since 2020, is the whole conspiracy with the global crisis and the pandemics and all of this. Look, it's people agendas, right? One of the things I went over in the first episode was about the whole, COVID thing. That's a whole agenda set up for the pharmaceutical companies that was losing money because there hasn't been a big pandemic since the influenza pandemic. And so they needed a way to get vaccine rates back up, and they needed a way to get the pharmaceutical numbers back up. And everybody wanted to get paid. So at the end of the day, that's what they did. And in the process, they caused inflation. And so on the back end of everybody lacing their pockets, look what happened. Now they got to figure all this stuff back out because, we went too crazy with the money. So we just have to remember that we all play a part in what's going on, whether indirectly or directly. And so we just have to remember that even though we may feel as individual at times, we may need someone, we can never truly say that or think that, because our day-to-day lives tells us different. And that's where the truth lies, in the consistency of the fact, the absolute truth of it, right? So we got a couple more minutes, so I'm gonna keep going in. So becoming, let's not forget where we were. That was a rant. I was replying to one of y'all. I appreciate y'all with the questions. So the process of coming to be or passing into state. So we're saying we're on a mental state that's becoming to be. Okay. So becoming are coming to be. All right. So it's a state that you have to pass through in order to become the person that you want to become, in order to do the things that you want to do. Like, because at the end of the day, it's a mental game first. It's not physical. It's not backwards. We can't do it backwards, right? We have to start right where it starts at, right? So it's once we get the mindset, then we can begin to actually become and manifest in real time on what we call our reality, the person that we want to be, the lifestyle that we want to see. And the great part about it, everybody don't want the same lifestyle, right? I hit on this in another episode. Everybody don't want the same lifestyle. We see what they put in our face and what they share in our face. People with all this money and that. Everybody don't want millions of dollars. Everybody don't want 100,000. Everybody don't want everything that they put in our face, right? Some people just go after this stuff because that's what it looks like it's going to get them to where they want to be at. But it ain't really all of this and all of that, cars, clothes, and all of this stuff, right? So we have to remember that as we are becoming, everybody is not going to become what we are becoming, right? Because everybody has their own creativity, right? Even for the individuals that want to copy and paste, that's their creativity, is to copy and paste. Because how do we know this? Because we do it when we be copying and pasting, or we try to clone trees and clone plants and this, that, and the third. So at the end of the day, it's part of the creative process. So we can never shun it away. We can only really accept it. Even if we shun it away, You still got to accept it on the back end, even without your knowledge, if you just unaware with the acceptance. Some things we just unaware of, and we just doing it based on our nature, on our essential nature, right? In existence, you have, like, that's one of the words that we were talking about with belonging, is acceptance, right? So in order to become anything, you got to accept it, right? In order to become anything, you have to start with acceptance. That's why once we start to accept some of the realities that are going on out here, and we talk about realities, we talk about individuals using their creativity to create what's real to them, to create their truth, to create their consistencies and disciplines, right? Because everybody reality is different. Okay. So as we see that, we have to remember that there has to be a form of acceptance in that road to becoming. All right. So let's look at the word become before we even add the ing. Begin to become. All right. The meaning is to begin or be, grow to be, or turn into. Okay. So there's a transformation process. Okay. So if we just look at these small words that's being used, we see that there's a transformation process that has to occur. Right? I don't know what scripture it is. I believe it's in the book of Romans or something like that in the Bible. If anyone's into the Bible, it says, "Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." Right? So that's the process of becoming something different. See, it never said you didn't belong. Never said you was never existing. It just said transform what? Your mind. All right. So that's what it means by passing into state. You have to start to pass through. Transforming is a passing through. Okay. It's not just this, I look like this and now I look like this. No, you have to pass through something, meaning you have to go through a process. It says the process of coming to be, right? It's the process of coming to be, meaning that becoming is almost like you're putting another existence on top of the existence. That's where titles come from, to represent this human being, right? Human being. That's a title to represent what? A being, right? Dog. That's a title to represent a being, right? Bird or blue jay. That's a title, right? Everything that we're talking about are titles to represent something that we observe in the observable universe. And when we talk about observe, that's with our eyes and with our mind, our mental, meaning the things that we can't see, the things that are in the ether, right? One of the things I always like to say is another way that I like to show that, that things are happening around us, or we can observe the things that's happening around us once we start to get the information. Once you start to understand that, okay, I have a bioluminescent field around me, what they call an aurora or aura, right? Excuse me. Now you know that this is used to help us communicate through our phones. Everything is tapping into the unseen ether around us, the energy around us, to connect us in order to communicate right now. Right? But nothing is independent in that at all. That's all interdependent work. Everything is dependent on one another in order for it to flow, in order for it to work, in order for things to transpire, in order for it to transform into something else. Right? So we have to remember, in becoming, we are the ones that are in the driver's seats. We are the ones that are in the driver's seats. And we have to start to take control as individuals if we want to become whoever it is that we want to become, negative or positive. All right. And the reason why I'm saying these things and I'm putting it like this is because us as the people, our communities, we cannot continue to point the finger and blame whoever we perceive to have power to do whatever it is that we give them power to do. Some things we have to just interject, right? We have to start just to implement things into society that we want to see. So now we can live the way that we want to live, right? Comfortably, uncomfortably, whatever, right? And that's why one of the biggest things why I say the world, like, ain't nothing wrong with the world, right? The world is just a breath away from becoming whatever it is that you want it to be. It's a breath away, literally. And so there ain't nothing wrong with the world once you start to see and accept the negative and the positive. Once you start to see, okay, but damn, this happening, dang, this happening, well, this happening, this happening. Then you have to start to say, okay, if it's these negatives, and you feel like the negatives are starting on the way out, outweigh the positives, if that's how you're feeling, then you have to be the positive that interacts with the negative in order to combat the negative, right? In order to take away a step back is a step forward in a positive direction, in any direction. It just has to be a positive step. So we as the people, we just have to get back to the point where we're taking back control of society. And one of the things that we might start to touch on a little bit, but I know it's a lot of other people that's touching on it, is the private sector of things, right? That's one of the reasons why being private with your affairs, different things of that nature, you start to take back your value. See, being in the public, we lose value because we are, what's the word I want to use? We are subject to different things. We are submissive to different things, entertainment, this, that, and the third. And if we don't privatize our life, then we can never really build back the value of the people first, and then start to implement the things that we want to see in society privately, right? And that way the government can't get involved, the ones that we point fingers at and different things of that nature, right? Where there's a will, there's a way, right? As above, so below, right? If people are out here already doing it, or if they are designing something to keep you in a certain loop or cycle, right? And once you recognize this, you have to start to gather the information to apply so you can start to what? Break the cycle, break the loop. All right. So we have to remember that as the people, we are already the beings, meaning we are already the ones. We are already the Neos, we the Messiahs, we everything that the elite scared of. Okay? If we want to call them elites. I don't even like calling them that no more. Once you start to really see what's going on. All right? Then we got to belong, meaning that we have to start to accept one another for who we are. We can't shun a person because, like we gave the example earlier with the fractions, 1/4 and 3/4. We can't shun a person because all we see is the 3, but it's 2 4s at the bottom of both numbers, and all it takes is the acceptance of each other to make it complete, right? So we have to remember, right? In belonging, we just got to accept, and then once we start to accept, we can start to become, right? Meaning we become the individuals that we want to be, and then by becoming the individuals that we want to see, the society becomes what we want it to be, because we have implemented our creativity into society in order for it to what? Become what we want it to be. All right. So that is about it for tonight. I appreciate y'all for hanging out with me, for enjoying this episode with me, being, belonging, and becoming. I hope it resonated with who it was supposed to resonate with. It was an honor, definitely. And tomorrow, I think we're going to go with the word that was given to me. I don't know how to say it. Postmatology. So I'll look into that, postmatology, and we'll talk about that. And then we'll also talk about, there's one other thing, excuse the camera, individuals. So we're going to talk about the prefix inner, right? Inner. So that's coming to understand the inner standing word, right? energy, individual, right? These different things of that nature, and just looking at all of those I am words that are relatable in the sense of our reality, that we can use as tools, that information as a tool in order to apply things in life with discernment and being deliberate in it in order to achieve what we're looking to achieve in society. All right. And that's whether we work a 9 to 5, whatever the case. It really don't matter. People gonna tell you to do whatever the case. You have to do what's right for you. And that's one of the things. One of the things we have to remember, yeah, we're designed to follow. Some people are designed to lead. You design to lead. Some people are designed to follow. At the end of the day, we at first glance, we are our own leaders once we start to understand and become conscious of the fact that I can gather my own information, the same information that other people are telling me in order to get my own reasoning. So if I choose to follow you, I'm not choosing to follow you on the premise of how you talking, your literacy skills, your communication skills, how you look, this, that, and the third. But I'm following you because the information is accurate based on my research or based on my reasoning through the information that I've gathered. So I'm going to belong to this environment to become whatever it is that I'm looking to become by my involvement and my acceptance of your information and your teachings and your mentorship and your leadership. All right. So always do your own due diligence and always gather your own information. So with that being said, peace, love, and life. Peace, love, and life. I will see y'all in the next one, 11:45. We're always on. And if you miss any of the previous episodes, you can catch